I just wondered if you had any updates on Marcus and Oach and how they're feeling.
I think Oach is doing pretty well. He practiced. Of course, we were all off Wednesday, and then he practiced yesterday most of the reps, and he'll do the same thing today. So I certainly don't anticipate that being any different tomorrow. And Marcus, he did a little bit yesterday, not a lot, but we're hopeful, depending on what the docs say, that he'll be to the point where he can be a full go, even though that has not been determined yet as of a few minutes ago.
Bill, among others, Dejuan, Tristan, and David really stepped up for your team on Tuesday. What impressed you about those three, and what does that mean going forward?
Well, I hope it's a springboard. I hope it's confidence. I thought David played to his size and did a really nice job for the most part against one of the better bigs in our league, and Samuels, and Juan ran the team like he's supposed to. He was solid. He didn't do anything real flashy, but he just got everybody involved and was a good ball mover and defended pretty well. And then Tristan, I felt like probably had about his best game of his career thus far. He made shots, but even more than that, his activity level was better and did some nice things. So hopefully, we played pretty good as a group the other night, much better than what we had prior. But hopefully it was a good confidence builder for all three of those guys, because all three of them needed something good to happen.
How would you sum up the season so far for Ochai Agbaji, and what do you think he's done best this year?
Well, what he's done best is probably be efficient. He's a pretty efficient offensive player. He shot, a pretty decent percentage from inside and outside the arc. He's been better handling the ball, and even though I wouldn't consider him John Stockton yet passing the ball, but he's certainly taking better care of it and distributing it better than what he did last year. So I just think he's been very efficient and he's been aggressive, and he's had a pretty solid year.
Bill, you talk about Dave playing to his size the other night. Is that a mentality thing? Is that a comfort level? What do you think is kind of the key to keeping that rolling the rest of the way?
I think everybody, it shouldn't be a revelation that you want bigs to play to their size. I mean, that's to be something that guys wake up every morning thinking about. Well, I want to play bigger than what I am actually, and I think David from a shot blocking or altering or low post positioning, posting deeper, or making your opponent catch it further out. That takes some physicality to do that. And I just thought he played to who he is. I mean, he's a 6'10.5", 250-pound man. I mean, and I thought that's what he just played more to what he is the other day. And then when you do that, you naturally make shots because you're worried about all the right things.
So did you think his effort led to him getting those, high percentage shots inside? His shot selection seemed like he was getting a lot of stuff that was right around the rim.
You know what, Benton? I think David's effort is always good. I think sometimes guys can try really hard and give really good effort, but it doesn't look like they're doing it because they're a little out of whack in some form or fashion, or balance is off, or techniques off some, or whatever. I think David has, for the most part, always given great effort. I don't think he's always played well, and that effort wasn't something that you can look to during certain games, because even though he's given effort, maybe the production wasn't there to make it look like it was great effort. But I'll never fault him on effort. But I do think that he got to do some things from a technique standpoint that allow him to create opportunities to get easy baskets. And I thought he did that. And when he was in position to get them the other day, I thought he did a better job of finishing or demanding the ball, or put himself in positions where they had to throw it to him.
Hey, how does this team match up with OU's offense and specifically Manic?
How does our team match up?
This group that you have.
Well, I think when you play OU, you're going to have to score some points. I think that's probably what you're getting at, man, because they're pretty efficient offensively, and
sure,
Lon's teams are always good offensively. They you can talk about Manic, and Reeves and of course Gibson, the young kid off the bench that's just been on fire up until the last game. They pose some serious problems, and Harmon's having a really good year. They're kind of like us a little bit offensively,
Right.
in that they haven't got a like Kuath, if I'm not mispronouncing, I hope I'm not, but he is a very, very improved big skill guy, but they're not going to run offense through him. And kind of like with David, even though I think David has potential to be a 12-10 guy, we're probably not going to run offense through him, although we probably like to more than what we have. And so that kind of puts guys on the perimeter that, Manick and Jalen Wilson or Reeves and an Ochai, kind of not similar players, but they all have similar type production. And I think I think there's some similarities. I think defending the arc's going to be very important. Closeouts on Reeves, because he's great at drawing fouls and getting his shoulders past you, going to be very important. There's a lot of things that teams have to do to be successful against them defensively. And I think we're capable of doing, even though we haven't demonstrated it night in and night out. But it'll be a good challenge. I mean, it'll be a real challenge for us, because they can run bad offense and come away with 3 points. And those are the teams that kind of make me the most nervous, is because, when you have guys that can just jump up and make a shot at the end of the clock, we say defend the entire clock, but a lot of times defending the entire clock is also hoping they miss. And I think that's kind of like OU a little bit. You kind of hope they miss because they can get their own, Did Bill Raftery go to sleep? I don't even know if he's yeah.
What do you think? I'm here, but I'm supposed to keep quiet.
Who had another one?
What do you think of the league race so far?
Well, I think it's too early to be a race, but obviously, Texas has a great win under their belt. Baylor's not going to lose often. We know that. For us, we have to, remain close contact, and we got to take care of business at home, and being 3-1 at this point, based on the teams we played, I would probably say before the season, I'll take that. But the fact of the matter is, when you're 2-0 and you have a home game coming up, you don't want to settle for that. And we let one. We didn't let one get away from us. It was taken from us. I mean, we got our ass handed to us. But it still only counts one. And as long as we can continue to learn and grow from it, it'll be something that may benefit us down the stretch. But I liked how our guys responded the other day. But league race, Gary, it's too early. We shouldn't be talking about that till at least get through the first part of the round robins, probably.
Hey, Bill, thanks for letting me hop in here real fast, if I can. I'm writing a story on college basketball coaches, what they think about wearing casual stuff on the sidelines after years of wearing suits. What's your just opinion on that? Do you like the more relaxed look, or you want to go back to the fancy stuff?
No, well, first of all, my dry cleaning bill and my clothing bill has deteriorated. There's certainly dry cleaners in town aren't very happy right now, because you don't really have to get sweats dry cleaned that often. So I actually like it. I doubt I go back. I do. I doubt I go back. I'm not going to say never, because who knows what will happen. Maybe somebody will make me do something. But I think it's actually a good look, and I think that it's probably silly when you look back on why coaches wear what they wore before this, because football coaches don't wear a coat and tie unless you're Hank Stram or Tom Landry, and basketball coaches, I think, have always done it because everybody else has done it, and our world's a lot more casual today than it was even 15 or 20 years ago. And And I even when you go to church, you dress differently than you did, when we were growing up. So I see this being a situation where I don't see me changing much.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
You bet.
So was Hugs ahead of the curve?
I don't know that you could call a warm-up jacket with long handles underneath it as actually ahead of the curve, but yeah, he probably was, to be honest with you. He's told me for years, "What are you doing? You look like an idiot." But there was a time where Hugs was wearing 3-piece suits too. He had the vest on and everything back in the day. But I don't know that. I just think there's a way that you could do this if you wanted to, depending on how you want to represent, or how comfortable you want to be or whatnot. I think there's a way you can do this where you can still come across, looking classy and very representable, and still be fairly casual. And I think Hugs may have been ahead of the curve a little bit on that one.
Hey, real quick on Marcus, do you think you'll want to know tonight, or will you go to game time, shoot around type of thing before you?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Matt. We'll know whenever the docs say, "Hey, he's 100% good to go," and we think that's going to be the case. We do. We just, there's. I would say the doctors with all sincerity. We've been cautious moving forward. We didn't play a game on Wednesday. We didn't play a game on Thursday. We don't play a game today. So we've been cautious moving forward, but I do expect him to be good to go, so to speak. But we're going to wait until he's evaluated, and we'll go from there.
Coach, who would you say are some early leaders at this point of the season?
Some early leaders for us?
Yes, sir.
Well, I would say the guys that are probably playing the majority of the minutes. I when you talk about who's played the best, you'd have to put Jalen and Ochai as our most consistent, and then Christian, Marcus, and David, or whoever has shown flashes. I mean, they definitely had great moments. But when you talk about just pure leaders, I really think that Marcus, more so than anybody, and Ochai have probably been as good of leaders as we could have ever hoped they would be. And then Jalen Wilson is kind of emerging into that, even though he's just a freshman. But I think we've had pretty good leadership. The one thing I would say from a negative, I didn't think we demonstrated much at all against Texas last Saturday. When things are going bad, I didn't think anybody really rallied the troops or attempted to rally the troops. So you can't say our leadership has been a level 10 each and every day. But for the most part, it's been pretty good. When you talk about leaders, you talk about doing the right things off the court, not putting us in harm's way, being responsible, a lot of things that go into it. And I think our guys have been really good at that, really good.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
You have time for one quick one, Coach? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We've seen a couple of COVID cancellations now. SEC's got a couple of games. Your women's team. What do you guys think college basketball is right now as we get into 2021 on handling this, and how's it been for your guys?
Well, we've been fortunate. I think our guys have handled it very well, but also handling it very well in today's times has an element of luck that goes with it. And if you don't handle it well, has an element of being very unlucky that goes with it. So I don't think anybody can point to somebody does it better than the other person because the other teams have had cancellations or whatever. Sometimes it's just good fortune. But I think our guys have been terrific. I think college basketball, if I was going to be so candid, and Bill knows better than me, and maybe this would be a question for him, but, I don't feel the same excitement about our game this year as I have in other years. I think it's hard to feel that without the presence of fans in the stands, those sorts of things. I feel like that there's a much more important element going on in our world today than playing college basketball, which beforehand, even though there's a lot more things more important than college basketball, but to me and to us, that was the most important thing going on. I don't even feel that we even sense that right now because of the pandemic and other issues that's going on. So I don't think college basketball is in a bad place. I don't think it's in a bad place, but it's not in a place that anybody wants it to be either. But there's just so many elements outside of the control. I think what the NCAA has done and Dan Gavitt has done to lay out what the criteria is, where we're going to play this, and this, I think it gives our sport optimism going into this, that we will positively have that, even though nothing's positive. But I think that's a plus. I also think when you get into league races, and you guys may disagree, with the testing protocol that goes on within teams that you're going to be competing against all the time, I think sometimes that gives you an element of optimism, because you know exactly what you have to do, and the people that you're playing against have to do the exact same thing. So we'll have issues, but our league hasn't had many thus far, which is good. I'm optimistic about this, even though I know the rate is higher than it's ever been, and I believe yesterday we experienced more deaths in a day than we ever have, which is so ridiculously sad. But that comes after the Christmas vacation. It comes after the New Year's Eve stuff, and even though there'll be more things that will happen due to those gatherings, but for us and all the teams that we play against, coming back on the 26th or 27th and having 10 or 12 days of negatives, things like that, gives you hope that we got through a tough stretch. I mean, so it's not great, but I still think it's salvageable, and hopefully we can continue to be fortunate and have some good fortune, and everybody still kind of buy in. But the fact of the matter is, if we don't, there's no fingers to be pointed at. It's just the way our times are. So